and there's very exciting work.
Trevor Ó Clochartaigh.
Gur míle maith a chairlaí agus bháilim fáilte chuid reis roimh chuileána agus fáilte roimh an ceapán tá déanta go rialtas go mai ada túiche agan. I'd like to welcome the appointment of our rural Minister with responsibility for rural affairs, and from being at the Teagasc Rural Development Conference this morning, it's quite obvious that there's a huge need for a minister working in this area because of the huge dichotomy in farming incomes, particularly in the west and the border areas. So I would like to call for a debate on rural areas and rural affairs, if possible, and how the government are looking to implement the CEDRA initiative. I note that the minister this morning said that all policies and strategies by state agencies are to be rural-proofed. Well, what I've called for and what I will call for again today is that the minister herself will talk to her cabinet colleagues and make sure that all budget announcements are going to be rural-proofed as well, because I think that's where everything starts. I think coming back today has been likened by a lot of people to coming back to school. But at least during the break, we got to catch up maybe on some things we don't do normally, which like reading books. And I'd like to just to let people know about a book which I read over the summer called Abuse of Power Because Councils Can, by Julie Grace, and I would recommend it to every member of the Seanad. And it's a very serious book. It deals with the death of Breach Cummins in Galway a number of years ago and the situation she found herself in. It talks about the abuse of power of a council, and particularly by the non-elected members in that council. And I think it would be important that we have a debate around the powers of CEOs, in particular of the local authorities. Breach Cummins died in a very tragic circumstance. There had been issues there around her being put out of a council house in the city, and steps being taken. It was an absolute scandal, and at the time the now President said it's absolutely understandable in the light of the terrible event and the many unanswered questions which the family has, that they should request a public inquiry into the distressing nature of Breach Cummins' passing. And I would agree with them. I think there is a need for a public inquiry as to what happened, and anybody who reads the book will agree that there are huge issues. So I'd like to ask who has read it. Has anybody in the Department of Environment read this book? What is being done about that? Has anybody apologised to the family of Breach Cummins? And what also is the status of the whistleblower in this case who wrote the book? That is Julie Grace. And I think the main question will be, does the Minister have a role in investigating the issues that are highlighted there? But I think on a broader scenario, you might say to me, Leader, that that's a question for the adjournment. But I think the issue raised about the power of CEOs and the non-elected people in the local authorities is the core issue here that we should debate, because a number of the characters who appear in the book have gone on to much bigger and better things in Irish Water and in a CEO of other county councils around this state. So whereas this poor woman suffered very badly, as is alleged in the book, at the hands of the local authority, the people who she says were instigated that have gone on to much bigger and better things and been rewarded for their work.
Well, Cahirli, Bawailam, or this, the Falcha, Corriv, Capicon, Phil Hogan, Mark Commissioner, Talaviactus, Europe. Agriculture continues to be a major part of life in Ireland and its economy. And especially with Harvest 2020 coming up, it is a great